Right.
Well, can I just say, Elizabeth, it's probably easier if you start as a police cadet, because that sort of starts, unless you want to say
I don't know what that stuff is, though.
Okay.
How long were you actually in the police for?
I was in for 8.5 years, which doesn't actually sound that long, but it's it's 8.5 years and you learn a lot.
Why did you join the police force?
Well, when I was 17, I couldn't decide whether to become a nurse or join the police force. And this is a true story, and I know it sounds ridiculous. I was watching an episode, I was babysitting, and I was watching an episode of Casualty on the television. And at that moment, it was like, eureka, I wanted to join the police force. And that was it. And I went to see my headmistress at school and told her, and she recommended I join the volunteer police cadets.
But
that's all I wanted to do.
Casualties about hospitals.
But it was a car accident. I was watching a car accident, so the police were involved as well. So you had the police and the paramedics.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
When she was my age, she wanted to be in the police, and she or be a nurse, or do race driving, or be a swimmer, just all these things. I don't want to do any of that. So we're completely different. I'm much more creative than she was at my age. Like, she was very strict on, she needs a path, she needs a uniform, she needs to do this, she needs to do that. I'm more, I kind of go either way. I can be more, like, lucid with it all, and she's very much head focused. I'm more swave anyway. What are these photos?
Okay, so this was my passing out parade.
That made you police officer.
When I was at Bruges, you do your training, and then when you finish your training, you have a parade, and you get all dressed up like this. So it's all my best uniform, and then your family come and you do a parade, and then you leave and you're actually a police officer, and then I can worked on the streets. So this was the first picture of me ever as a policewoman.
Okay.
I know, I'm so young there. And I was 19. That's when I was 19. Okay? The same age as you are now.
Thanks.
Okay.
I guess I should be intimidated. Like, my mum knew what she wanted to do in her life from this age, but I don't. We're two different people. We grew up, and she was always like, do your own thing, anything you do, I'm proud of you, be so independent. She's never forced anything on us. It was always, I'm happy with what you do. I've never felt pressured to, like, do what she did, or, like, at this age know exactly what I do in life. Like, I don't know what I want to do in life. I'm still figuring it out. But she knew what she wanted, and that's fine, but I'm a different person, so I don't feel threatened or intimidated by my mum. I'm just grateful she's my mum and she's supportive of anything I do. Were you on duty when Princess Diana died?
I was indeed. And it was a night shift. Correct me if I'm wrong, it was the 31st of August, I think. And we got a message on our radios telling us, in fact, no, we didn't get a message on our radios. We were told that we had to go to a phone, because we didn't have mobile phones back then. And we were told that this had happened, but we weren't it was radio silence because it had literally just happened, and we needed to be prepared because of the public reaction, and the public reaction was what we thought it would be the next day.
That was hard.
Yeah.
Was it
But, you know,
chaotic?
Yeah, it was madness.
I think it's interesting. Like, the way she just, every day she was police, she has to be there on duty all the time, ready for action. And now she's kind of like 9 to 5 job, comes home, sees us, you know. It's very normal. Now it's just normal life for her, isn't it? And she gets more time with us and we get more time with her. So I think that's nice compared to if she was still there and never get to see her. So why did you stop then?
I always said right from the get-go, as soon as I wanted to start a family, I would leave. Because I worked with so many people that had families and they struggled, because it's hard when you're working shifts, because I used to work in the morning, I used to work in the afternoon, and I used to work at night. And working shifts with a family is hard. It's hard enough anyway. And also, when you don't have children, it's much easier to be separate. Your mindset is totally different. You can step away, whereas as soon as you become a parent, you become protective and you see things differently. And I dealt with, I obviously can't go into details, but I dealt with a horrible incident with a 6-year-old girl, and she passed away. But my colleague had 3 children, and when we arrived, we had the ambulance there, we had the fire brigade there. It was absolute chaos, but he couldn't cope, because to him, the little girl was one of his children. And he was a very professional person. I mean, he was an amazing police officer, but to him it was personal. To me, I was totally impartial. So I ended up dealing with it with his support, but I was the lead. And it's much easier for me. It was much easier for me than it was for him.
Yeah, I remember her telling me ages ago, because I asked her this question and she said, yeah, kids, if I had kids, I'd leave. And then she did. She had my brother, and then she had me, and it's kind of it for her. She knew she wanted us. She's very happy with us too, I'm happy to say. And she's really happy she had kids, and she wouldn't take that back for a second.
Do you like me working here?
Of course. Of course. You know I do. It's lovely having you here.
I work at the till, so I'll normally deal with the people, or I also walk the dogs. So like in the mornings, I'll go walk the dogs around the park and make sure for the toilet and everything before they come back. I also sometimes deal with the nervous dogs, and I'll go up to them and I'll make sure they're settled in while my mum's grooming and everyone's doing something. So all the dogs are fine and happy.
Do you think you influenced me or George to go in that kind of career path? Maybe like George or something? Do you think you had an influence in him wanting to?
No, I think... Well, you definitely. No way in a million years. No.
I could.
I think you could, because you're tough, but I don't want you to deal with what I dealt with. And but George, I think he likes the uniform and the discipline and everything that goes with it, which is but I think it's the kind of thing you like or you don't like. I liked wearing a uniform. I didn't like it when they used to say to me, come in your plain clothes. It didn't feel like I was at work. When you wear a uniform, you feel like you have a presence and people listen, because people need to listen when you're doing a job like this, because you have to be in charge. Mm-hmm. But you don't really like wearing uniforms or anything, do you? No.
Do you think I'm gonna do, I know I already asked, but anything like this in my future, or do you think I'm gonna go completely different path?
Completely different path, because you're artistic and I'm not artistic. Okay. Is there anything else you saw in here that you thought was quite funny? Oh my crumbs, it even talks about the Crime Stalker video.
Which you're gonna watch.
All 9 calls were answered that day in Oxford.
Bravo 171 Sierra Bravo.
For the aptly named WPC Lucy Crook, there'll be no red-handed arrest tonight. But there's always tomorrow.
There you go.